Right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Human Libraries of Procurement podcast. We call it the Human Libraries of Procurement for three basic elements: the human connect, the libraries part, which shows knowledge and wisdom, and procurement, because we talk about procurement. One such Human Libraries of Procurement is Atif Ali Khan. Atif, thank you for doing this. How are you doing today?
First of all, thank you, Supratim, for inviting me for a discussion. And I like your concept where specifically you're calling the procurement people, and it is virtual. So it's not dependent for people to take out time for travel. So wherever you are, whether you are within the region, within the city, or in a different country, doesn't matter. If it matches your time, I think you can connect. That's a great initiative, Supratim, and Alchemy Network, who's making it possible, and Alex, they are the people behind the scene or behind making it enable. And special thanks to you who put an effort out of your busy schedule to take it. And uh, this is intent is to share knowledge, whatever we have learned in so many years. Why to let people experience it, whatever. Thanks for
Right.
that.
Right. Yes, I agree to that. I think knowledge should not be location or anything specific. It's a vast thing
Absolutely.
everybody can share.
Absolutely.
Atif, I think we'll start with your career journey. It's an interesting career, and from there we'll see as to where we go.
Sure. So I'll start. So I'm not very sure, but what I've heard that a lot of procurement people got into procurement just by accident. Most of the
Right.
people do not plan to procurement, and same has happened with me also. I'm no different than those lot of people. So I started before I started my journey. I did my graduation in the commerce background with accounts as an honors. So I come from the tier three. You may say I come from the tier three city, right?
Okay.
So back in 1990s or early 2000, no one was thinking about going to big cities, thinking of MNC, and I'm talking about right now I was
Right.
thinking about it. So the only thought process we had, or I had specifically, or the group of people, the backbenchers, what we call it, right, had that thought that okay, we want to become maybe an accountant in one of the company where I can get good paid and all. So for I had uh, I was lucky enough to get an opportunity with one of the reputed and very famous paint manufacturing industry in NCR, which is primarily in the Greater Noida. And with that effort, I got an opportunity in one of the department, which was not the accountancy, not the accountant background. I got to work in the procurement domain. So while I didn't wanted to do it, right, but that I thought let me get in because getting a right brand was very important. So I thought let me get in. Maybe then I will maneuver in internally and to till the time I get the finance role over there. I while I was working very dedicatedly, very passionately for about a year, looking internally also that how can I move to the finance. But after spending a year, I realized that what I'm doing, this is exactly matching with my nature. Um,
Okay.
from a childhood, I have been a number person. I have managed my household finances and all such finance related thing in my family. So somehow I kind of got that ability developed in me. And after spending a year, I realized no. So procurement seems to be a good field, right? Where what I will be doing is I won't be limited to the experience or knowledge what I'll gain. If I get into this field, the situation will bound me to keep learning it, keep improvising me time and again, which is my style is. So that's when I decided no, no more search, no more looking for a different role. So that's the start and very interesting journey of start of my career rather. But since then, which was year 2004, right? So since then, it's been 20 plus years. Uh, uh, I'm in the procurement, yeah, and all over these 20 plus years, work across multiple MNCs and have high growth environments. I had a significant portion of my career which is spent in GCC, Global Capability Center. Right, I have led the procurement function that support global operations from India. The exposure helped me understand the global procurement strategy while executing with local precision, enabling the efficiency and innovation at scale. So that's what, in a nutshell, is the brief of my uh, career so far. And
Right.
there's
Right, Atif. Thank you for the intro. Well done on the career for 20 years. It's a huge thing. And I like that combination a lot. The accountant or the accounts guy who went for procurement. Okay, we'll get into that. I like the GCC Global Capability Center thing also. We'll talk about that also. But before I go into those things, there are those 2 heavy minutes for me where I have to say certain disclaimers. The first one is that we are here on our own capacity. We are not here to represent any company, even if any company's name come out. But it is natural that sometimes some company's name come out. And other one is that if anyone has any question, please put them on the chat. I would be very happy to read it out, and then Atif can answer those questions. So those were two things that I had to say.
It's all about the risk management. So I think that's what we have learned. Every
Right.
place we need to ensure that we are risk covered, right? No one should
Right.
take it differently, and yeah. So, but thanks
Yeah.
for clarifying it.
Risk management is something that we're going to cover as well, because procurement is majorly into risk management as well. Let's start with GCCs. And
Sure.
what I mean, you have done procurement for Indian companies as well as for GCCs.
Yeah.
How do you see the cultural difference between the two?
Yes, a vast difference. There's a vast difference working with an Indian company or company which are one country specific, not necessarily India, but and working with GCC. So if you work in a GCC, that require definitely a understanding both the local and the culture of different countries and regions, right? And especially when what about the culture of global headquarters or the business unit what we support? So be it US, Europe, or APAC. So one clear difference is in the stakeholder expectation and communication style. So what does that mean? That the whatever expertise you have for one country, that not necessary, and most of the time it won't be same for the different country. For example, Western market expect autonomy and speed, while Indian team uh, often focus more on consensus and strict structure, right? Bridging these expectation is the key to us success of a GCC department, and
Right.
which is also delivering the global value while maintaining the local agility. So basically, the stakeholder management, the client management, ensuring your timeliness and right communication in their own perspective, because the your client maybe sitting 1,000 miles away, and they're absolutely with a different culture. So it's not apt to place all your kind of style back to them. That won't fly. So that's the greatest difference which I have seen.
Right. And what kind of challenges are we talking about? I mean, when we're talking about such a cultural difference, there are bound to be some challenges. What kind of challenges are we talking about?
Yeah, so again, the difference is again very interrelated to that. So in a GCC setup, the biggest challenge is often the alignment, which I just said. So you are maybe in an Indian context sitting out of in India, and your stakeholder is in the US or UK or Australia or whichever part of the country, right? So translating the global category strategies and then converting to local execution is very important, but ensuring that your stakeholders buy-in uh, isn't across the zone. So it's not that, because there are a lot of projects which we do globally, right? But that will be impacting a lot of countries, not only one or a few of the countries. So you need to ensure that you have the complete buy-in, right? And there's also issue in, because you work, if you're working in a too big of an organization, right? Because of the lot of acquisitions in the organization. So what happens, that data is also fragmented. You might be using one tool and the other country is using maybe the another tool. So therefore the data language what you are speaking versus what they have or they would try to understand, that is difficult. So that actually complicate the situation, and balancing the cost and innovation obviously are the point. So how to address though? We address these things by standardizing the process, which means one kind of data, templatization, standardization, investing in digital tools so that our language remains the same. What we are thinking, saying, and trying to share, that remains the same. And as I said, the most important thing is building strong stakeholder engagement. Uh, that's the that is the biggest challenge, and which is communication and alignment. But by these modes, we can solve it, and that's what practically we have done in past, and we have been successful for so many years.
Right. And when you're building a team, or procurement is a teamwork, what kind of key matrix, or kind of key that you keep in mind when you're doing this?
Sure. So yeah, as we know that in GCC, manpower is your main asset, right? So GCC is Global Capability Center is nothing but serving your either your third-party client or your own parental organization or in the enterprise you are supporting. So manpower is your main asset. Therefore, building and maintaining the resources or the team is very, very crucial. So GCCs are basically uniquely positioned with the access to diverse talent, right? So building a high performance procurement team here means like focusing on the capability building, cross culture training. So it's not that maybe your person is trained on a particular skill set, but they're not trained on the culture. So that is very, very important that you ensure that you are doing it. And developing the global business acumen, again the very similar thing. What you are, if you have skilled in for an Indian environment, not necessary that the same will fly in, let's say, for other countries, for example US, UK, or wherever, Middle East. So what I have done, I've ensured that teams were structured to support both the transactional efficiency and strategic sourcing, while embedding a mindset of continuous improvement and stakeholder centricity. I also ensured that the individual development and career progression are strategically planned to ensure empowerment and control attrition. So that's a holistic development. It's not only that you are adding a resource on your uh, on your list, and then you're not ensuring that how they are delivering, how they are progressing it, and you that eventually your control your attention also.
Right. Yes, that's a good point actually. Uh, Now, when you're okay, we talked about challenges. With challenges, when you overcome it, it's a success story as well. Are there any particular success stories that you would like to share?
Yeah, there are many, but if I have to share one, let's say which is related to, I'll talk about which is relevant on current time, which is like a digital transformation. The whole world is talking about AI, digital transformation, and all, right? So I'll talk about one of the digital transformation, uh, which was not only had the digital complexity, but also including working in multiple geographies and multiple acquired enterprise. So what happens when you work in a very large organization, and I have worked in an MNC which is more than 150 years old, right?
Right.
So and it's a very large organization. So when you work for such a large organization, what happens? There are a lot of acquisition which happen between your journey, right? And sometimes the acquisitions are also so large that you don't want to change the backbone, which is ERP or the system of the organization. So which
Right.
means then you're bound to work on different tools for maybe same or similar use because of the acquisition. The earlier company was using that product, and because you have so much of dependency on that product, you can't change. So so what we did that despite of being one global organization, what we did, we implemented two big product which is related to procurement, that is called Ariba and PeopleSoft, both,
Right.
and
Right.
use them at a time. both were used simultaneously, obviously for a different activity, but both of them were integrated to so that the best of both can be used, right? So as I said, this was done just because there were a lot of acquisition and there was possibility was there to make the change, but then it was not really feasible, right? Possible, but not uh, as far financially, it is not feasible, and it would have might have impacted the global procurement.
Right. Yeah. Now that you talked about Ariba, I
Yeah,
remember late 2000s. Ariba was a new thing. At least for me, it was a new thing.
no,
And
absolutely, it was new.
yeah, yeah. And we just started off, and something as simple as digital signature, right? Digital signature is simple today. I mean,
Yeah.
there are places where it is still not there, but let's say today it is more accessible, and people accept digital signature. It's quite common. But simple digital signature was such a leap for us. It made our lives so easy, when we just started off. So I especially like that combination of Ariba and PeopleSoft. I think that is where we all started off in 2000s or late 2000s.
I'll take that hint from what you just shared, digital signature, right? So digital signature remains the same, right? That I'm not talking about the product name, but functionality of a digital signature.
Right.
But if you try to implement the same thing in different country, you will get to know the different challenges. There are different tools which are available for a digital signature. But then what is
Right.
important for you to know that if that particular product is helping you and align with your regional and local regulations or not. There would be possibility that this is supporting, let's say, out of the 20 countries what your business had, maybe it will support 12 but not the 8. 12 these countries will have to use it, but for the balance 8, right, you'll have to opt for a one. And then your
Right.
system will be so integrated that you, depending on the country, depending on the law requirement, it should automatically change also which country, which signature to be used. So it seems like a very very small activity. It is simple that you just have to go and you have to enable the digital signature, but it is not easy as it seems like. And especially you're working in
Right.
a multi-located and multi-regional this thing.
Right. And again, I mean, I'm just expanding a little bit more on the signatures.
Yeah.
I don't know how many can relate, but when we started off in, at least in India, the each contract page had a signature, and there used to be a seal, and there used to be a date, both the parties, of course,
Correct.
and the global were already like there is a signature block. You just sign that block, and it's all done. So these kind of differences are there, and when
Absolutely.
you introduce digital in a environment where you have a seal and signature in each page, there are quite a change that people go through.
That is where the actual procurement role comes into the play. You'll have to, and along with the procurement, that comes the strategic mind, and how do you place over there. See, what you need to understand, what is the law requirement. So
Right.
again, pick up a thread from your statement. You were talking earlier, also in a lot of organizations, right? Even as of today, they're signing each page. But if you're doing a digital signature, it's not. There are a lot of functionalities that even comes in the documents. So when you, so one of the risks why people earlier time why people were doing a wet signature on each page, so that by any chance, if you lose probably one of the pages in between, there can be a risk, right? So now there are functionalities which comes within the tool that if you're doing your signature, after the second person or the last person does the signature, the system, the tool itself will log the document. So
Right. Right.
that one bundle document will, the bundle will remain one. So there is no, uh, not feasible for anyone to uh, temper with that.
Now, I want to take a step back. In your intro, you said you are from accounts and you landed in procurement.
My
Tell me
education
how,
was an account planning.
just saying that accounts don't like us, right? Especially accounts
Yeah,
payable doesn't like us. So how different is accounts and procurement?
so I'll just say accounts and procurement is like husband and wife. You have to be together whether you like it or not. Okay,
Right.
so don't take you or anyone else, don't take it otherwise, just a personal comment. So yeah, but it's like that only. So we are also a lot dependent on the finance, and so is finance on procurement, right? Because these two are so interrelated that when you go for a deal negotiation, right, and when you're talking about the broad, so let's say if you are in a space which is STPI or SEZ or EOU at all. So while procurement you can have a good knowledge, but it's always good to come along with one of the
Right.
finance experts so that you know what are the nitty-gritties of it and how best we can utilize our resources, how best we can manage the process, and we should also not committing something which is not relevant and practical. Because when
Right.
you go and sit on a negotiation, you can't say that okay, I'm only negotiating the cost, but for maybe for rest of the finance related thing somebody else will come. So it is very, very important part for a procurement to know not only the basic, but if not on the expert level, I think till mid-level people should know what are the impact. What are the, if I talk, let's say specifically from the Indian context. So if you are a GST registered, which anyway you have to be if you are a big company, and otherwise also on what all product you will be getting a tax credit on which you are not, so that you can if you're not going to get a tax credit on this, so then you should be considering as a in your TCO, which is total cost of ownership, then you need to also embed the tax component of it. And
Right.
especially if you are some tax free zone or a place where you may enjoy some tax holiday, which is like SEZ, STPI and all those things, you know what are the nuances, and then accordingly you need to structure your contracting. So therefore it is very important to be completely aligned, and to mid level you should have all this knowledge before you get into a big contract or a global role. And again,
Right.
this is I example I took only for India. Similarly, there are a lot when you're trying to import anything, so they should know what are the trade alignment with that particular country for where you're trying to import from.
Right. And I also wanted to know that what is it with finance that they don't understand savings at all? I have
So
tried
it's
too
a
many times, but they just don't understand savings.
So I don't want to go that route, but uh, because I have great friends and colleagues who are in this. But see, if you have to think from their perspective, right? So for them, what got closed is the number, nothing else. Whatever you did, some people say it funny money, somebody say you made it a bubble, you got the initial
Right.
code which was higher, then you got to manage. Even if you would have not been there, probably they would have given the same rate. So everyone had their own perspective that it, and with completely and due respect to their understanding and point of view. I'll throw a six, which is I think few days it was very viral on WhatsApp and Indian. If you throw a six number and then you will see from the other side you will see nine, I will see six.
Right.
While number remains the same, it's just that the outlook how you are seeing things.
Go a little deeper on your career thing also. What are the categories that you have managed in your experience?
Uh, Fortunately, I in last over 2 decades, I had opportunity to manage almost all categories: IT, facility, professional services, HR, marketing, travel, capex, or like fit out. Right, almost everything. I don't think there's any category except the indirect category I'm talking about. There's nothing to my mind which is I'm not done so far. And if there's anything left, I'll be more than happy to do it. So fit out or the new building setup or something, if at all you want to call it as a category, which people does, that I like the most. And the reason is this one particular category is the combination of all. When you're trying to set up a new, so let's say if you're trying to set up a new office, right? So which means that you need everything in it. You need IT, you need the facility related thing, which need your capex related item, white goods, professional services, where to set up, what to set up, how to set up. You need to build a complete ecosystem around it. So uh, fit out, I would say, or the new building, new build out is one category which I like. And on top of everything, all this category, what is important that these are very dynamic, right? These are
Right.
very, very closely knitted, right? And very complex. And why I'm saying
Mhm.
very complex, if you're trying to set up the whole stuff, whole structure, new office, if there's one specific package which get delayed, that will hold and that will impact the overall go live or the uh, project speed. Even if your 90% things are going on right direction, but if your 5% or 10% things have got delayed, so that will ruin the whole progress. It's deeply strategic, and this required the Mammoth project management skill. I could
Right.
relate that we were building a new office in 2020. We started in 2019. We were building a big office that was talk of the town at that point in time, and not only in India but at a enterprise level, right?
Right.
So unfortunately, the at the end of the 19, we all heard that some viruses seems to be detected in China because China got locked down, right? So after that time, so obviously when China got locked down, uh, everyone knows that at that point in time, most of the things were coming from China. So there was a lot of impact. We tried managing it, then slowly and gradually started spreading across. So that actually was the real time when my project management skill got tested and fortunately got get successful also. With yes, there was a delay in the complete build out because of all the unfortunate fortunate situation, unexpected situation, and no one would have projected this. No one in the world would have projected this kind of
Right.
impact. But yeah, eventually we could manage to source all the material, all the services, and all the thanks to all our supplier vendor partners who could help manage the situation, because procurement alone, the customer alone can't do everything. You need your hands and feet, which are nothing, no one other than the vendor partners.
Uh, Alex here says project management is a key procurement skill. So that's a
Absolutely.
fair point.
Yeah. So if you
Now,
if you think
yes.
otherwise, also sorry to. Um,
No, please go on.
so I think procurement, if you see in a layman also, right, from the procurement perspective, uh, procurement is doing a stakeholder management. Procurement is
Right.
understanding the requirement. Procurement is going and identifying the vendor, trying and understand the manufacturing schedule from the manufacturer. I'm talking about the vendors or our suppliers' manufacturing pattern and the schedule. I'm also understanding what is my customer schedule. I'm trying to bridge these two gaps, right? So in a way, I'm taking care of both the side of stakeholders, while at the same time I'm also doing the due diligence, the risk management, the data analysis. So to my mind, as you rightly said, procurement uh, is broadly a project management kind of thing. While it requires specific skill set, but procurement project management is one of the key skill that is required.
Kind of time scales we were talking about. Like how long?
See, it depends. What first of all, what kind of organization you are.
Mhm.
If you are a very large enterprise, right? So you carry some kind of legacy also. So
Right.
it's going to, because of and you have a dependency on your stakeholders are also engaged, which are multi-located, region, not very local. So that itself is going to increase your time. That is one. Second, the type of uh, fit out projects you are going to do. So one that I can appoint one single supplier and give that project to that vendor or the vendor partner. That will that will be the fast paced project from the timeline perspective. Then but you may not have the right control over it, right? Then you
Right.
can go for a the next, and which is the most time taking project, which is you can go for each individual service provider and a partner for each package. So for IT, you can, within IT also, then you can distributed into multiple audio visual, your networking, your bandwidth, and all those things. If you go to non-IT, you may say HVAC, electrical, and all those things you can break up depending on the time and what is the mindset of your organization. So,
Right.
to a crisp answer to your question, that it and the size of the project also, it's very important. Single located office, be it large or small, so you can expect anything between 3 months to 18 months. That's wide range you had, because there are multiple uh, questions around it once before you want to get an actual detail.
Right. Now, the reason I asked is that you touched on it, that during the COVID time, the timelines got stressed, and
Yes.
I'm sure there must be a few hundred people who are already waiting for things to happen and all that. What do you do in this kind of a situation, like that, things have gone out of hand and
Great question. And again, I'll go back to the project management, stakeholder management skill.
right,
So you need to, neither you can say no, because if you are saying no, it's going to interrupt the business, correct?
Mhm.
But you can't say complete yes also, because nothing or a lot of it is not there in your hand, especially difficult situation like this. So you need to understand the perspective or the expectation of the customer and probably the root cause of that. If you know the root cause of it, then you can devise the solution to that particular customer.
right,
But not necessary that the one solution will fit to everyone. So I remember that when there was a COVID situation, right?
Mhm.
We and that got in India, the lockdown get a time, and that one time also we had many employees working on a desktop, right?
right, right,
So, and which means a lot of people they didn't had any machine to work on,
right,
and we that company was a GCC, which means a back office and operation. As I said, manpower is everything, and to that manpower, what they need is machine. In
right,
that situation, what you need to know is that what is the bare minimum requirement for people to work. What they wanted is any machine, not necessary that at that point in time you can't expect that, okay, I need X configuration only and X
right,
brand only or X things only. So we need to understand what is the bare minimum requirement of a customer. So when I say customer, for me, my customers are my internal departments, my ops team, my IT team, and all. We understood what exactly they need. What is the bare minimum count of machines that are required? What is the bare minimum configuration that is required? And where exactly it is required. Fortunately, after some time, we could manage to get hold with certain companies who got permission to, even in that lockdown situation, they had a permission to deliver machines from here and there. So, and our long-term relationship with multiple vendor partners paid us, while we paid some premium because of the situation, and that was there in the market, but still we didn't pay as high as the rest of the companies were doing in comparison to us. And with the help of those service provider, we could manage. So, what is important that you understand the crux of the requirement, and you tailor made the solution to fit in the need, because you're not talking about a BAU, you're talking about a situation which is not expected. No one would have expected this situation to come.
no one had expected this situation to come.
Absolutely.
That is my follow-up question, actually.
Sure.
Risk management, we touched it previously as well. Now,
Yeah.
what kind of risk management can procurement help the organizations with?
So when it is very important, and rather than important, it is very crucial for companies who is who is working globally, because in global environment you can't meet all your suppliers day in and out, right? You might be sitting in India and you're talking to the supplier in Singapore or maybe in any other company, because they have got different companies. So procurement support like risk management by implementing the global supplier due diligence framework. It is very, very important. You can't have your one set of risk management tool or product. It has to change as per the supplier location or as per the customer location, right? The third party's risk management, which is short form called as TPRM. Uh, your robust uh, TPRM framework has to be there, ensuring that business continuity is there, and through those multi-vendor strategies, what you can do is to avoid these kind of risks. For each categories, you can have multiple vendor, and COVID has taught us that you can't rely now on one single vendor or one single location. You have to have the flexibility, but we we kind of had all these practices, and prior to that also, even today, that through multiple vendor strategies and standardizing the contractual risk clauses. So depending, because your organization is, you might be an insurance company, you might be a data company, you could be a real estate company, or could be like an FMCG. So your risk would be different than others. So what is your
Right.
risk related contractual clauses are there, you have to ensure that. And procurement can also play a big role in the real time risk monitoring using the data and analytics, which is nowadays mostly through AI and all those things.
So when we started off, we started off with numbers and accounts, which was nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we
Procurement
went
is all
to
numbers.
right, and then we went to project management, which is again nice. And now we are talking about legal and compliance from risk, right? So it's kind of interesting how procurement is involved into all these different things. I won't say we are master of these things, but we are somewhere knowledgeable in these fields as well.
That's-
And that's what makes procurement so interesting, I guess.
And if you remember, that's what I said, that initially when I wanted to go to maybe put my career on finance, but why I changed my mind to procurement, because in procurement you have to learn everything.
And we also talked about TCO, total cost of ownership.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Tell us your views, or any examples that you have from TCOs.
So, see, earlier procurement was one. Obviously, it was. I'm talking about a couple of decades back, right? So, procurement was a tactical function, right? But now it has moved beyond the pricing and evaluating to a evaluation of the total life cycle and the cost. What does that mean? So, I'm sure most of the people who are then the call are are experienced one, but still, TCO is total cost of ownership, which means on a layman, what you need to know, what is the total life cycle of the machine or a product or services. Let's say if you're trying to buy a machine which can last for, let's say, about 5 years. So what you need to know is what you need to calculate is what's going to make total cost, which include your upfront cost, the maintenance cost, the storage cost, the AMC cost, and all those things. You will find a lot, and this is mostly applicable on software related products, right? So your initial cost may not be that high if you look at the compare,
Right.
but if you do an annual calculation of that each year it will range between somewhere between 20 to 35% each year you'll have to pay. So if somebody is taking a decision only considering what is my upfront cost, it's not the right way, and therefore the term got coined, which is TCO. You are calculating that what's my overall cost, even if you have to pay the cost higher, right? So sometime procurement justify higher capex cost for procurement because they know, and this is all mathematical, all you can devise it, or you can design and put it under contract, that even if I'm paying higher cost now to cost of acquisition or cost of capping, but eventually in the long run I'm going to get benefited out of it. So be it a long-term maintenance or choosing a vendor based on the delivery efficiency, SLA, compliance, and everything.
A little bit more on the pricing and how pricing structure helps. Do you want to talk about pricing models and
What procurement can do it? The procurement leverage the global volume, how to negotiate a better contracted rate. So if you are managing a global portfolio or if you have the 360-degree view of the company, okay, as to and the near future of the company, so you can get into a long-term contract and you can agree the pricing model, right, supporting the category managers with data. Pricing model could be, let's say, cost plus or the volume driven, SLA based, performance based. There are multiple pricing model which you can work on, and that will help ensure that global consistency and cost optimization. Because in global companies, what I have noticed that in a lot of time, if you are not at a strategic and a central level, so what you're doing, you are buying the same thing in a different country at a different rate. And when I say
Right.
I'm saying different rate, that doesn't mean that uh, the exact dollar, because every country would have their own logistic charges and other challenges. But the overall cost or the basic cost of machine is also higher. Why? Because
Right.
you would not have the right strategy in place. You are for a big things or big ticket items, you are not doing a global contracting. If it's a small, then it's okay. But let's say if you have got 5,000 employees and you are talking about your laptop machines, right? Which is normally get refreshed or replaced in 4 to 5 years. That's the standard type any organization takes. But if you are have 5,000, which means in every 5 year you are going to purchase 5,000 machines. That's the bare minimum, excluding the growth, excluding other factors. Which means every year you are going to buy roughly 1,000 machines, and obviously in a different country. If you have the
Right.
right engagement at a, let's say if you have a contract with HP or Dell or Lenovo or any other such brands, right? So irrespective of the country, your dollar fixed rate are fixed. What you only need to add is one, that you need to convert that into a local currency, and then you add the logistics, because the manufacturing is happening in one place. So you know the what is the X cost of the machine, irrespective of where you are ordering. You just need to add few things, and you need to convert into local currency and get the order placed. So, and then there could be this is a rate based, then you could have a performance based pricing model, and specifically this is service based engagement. So because there would be certain engagements where you also not very sure what's going to be the success of the is this engagement. So if you link that to the success, you know that depending on the success of this project, I have to pay out. It's not necessary that you have to pay 100%, even if your project is not 100% up to the mark as expected, or maybe you would be expecting 90, but actually the project delivered only 70. So why you should be paying 90 versus 90% when the actual deliverable is 70? So there are different models on which works.
If anyone has any question, please put them on the chat. Here, one from Nadeem Umar, he says, right, it is important to understand. And then he says 2 thumbs up for another comment. And I have also one comment from Maz. He said, hello, everyone. And Richard said that he had to drop because of other call. But yeah, we didn't have any question, but I just wanted to read it out. Now we are getting to another interesting topic here. What do you think about negotiations and negotiation skills, or any negotiation
Okay.
tips?
So negotiation is basically is a blend of preparation and listening, right? It is more than talking. As per me, it is more than talking. It is about listening. So you understand. So for any procurement professional, what might probably if I have to kind of give my tips, that to first of all, you need to know your data as to what is your current requirement, what you can project for future, and how confident and how accurate you are on your projection. Know your vendor partners, again, very very important, from their capability point of view, their strength and weakness, and this information you can use for both, one for negotiation, and second to select the right vendor. It's not only the negotiation. So a bad negotiation, when I say bad, means which is only focused on the numbers only, that may not yield you a good result. So therefore it is very important that the product and services you are trying to buy, whether that has the vendor has the right potential to deliver, should not be any risk of getting in trouble in between, right? So therefore that information can be used. Then you should also know the should be cost breakup, which will through which you can identify what should be my target cost, right? And then you should know what is the expectation from the cost, which is again, as I said, then very importantly, as I said, it is related to project management. So what is the timeline you are expecting? What is the warranty life cycle of the product? So you can calculate the TCO and all those things. So and whenever you're deciding any should be cost and when you are negotiating, uh, try to be realistic, because sometimes what happens, procurement team or procurement person makes a bluff, and by just doing a bluff, and which is uh, so off, then even your supplier knows that the what they're talking about is not practical. So it doesn't give a right perspective or right uh, credibility to the procurement professional. It's not only yours, it is the organization, because you are representing an organization. You and I are not an individual thing. We are talking about that. And very importantly, whenever you are doing it, you also need to ensure that you are in connect with your right stakeholders, so that the way I said earlier, that if you are uh, trying to open a new setup kind of thing, so you know what are the taxation complexity, what are your different nuances of the place where you are established and where maybe you are going to establish. So all these are part of your negotiation. So negotiation not only mean you are negotiating the number. You might, what if you are able to get the right number, but then you get into trouble later on. That not only may increase your cost, but that can pose you some legal litigation and what not all. And but again, so always bring the category insight, market trend, and again consider the TCO always. It's not the upfront cost. Uh, and iceberg is the right example. From the top of it, it looks like very small, but then when you get into it, like in software, when you choose a software, you have to be very, very particular about it. You have to be very clear, but how long you are going to use it, who is going to uh, use the IP and all those things. Because once you get into a relationship into software and you are like a product-based company, and you are too much dependent on that, you won't have, or you would have very, very limited option to go back or to change. So therefore, it's very, very crucial that over and above the commercial, we are looking at all 360 degrees.
Right. I think one of the good examples that you gave was the COVID time as well, where you had the suppliers who delivered those machines and laptops to the places. Now the supplier could have taken advantage. You could have done a lot of things otherwise also. But that is where I think the relationship comes into play, and that is where the trust comes into play. So that's a huge, good example. Then I have a comment from Alex. He says active listening. So
Absolutely, that's what I said. Negotiation is more than saying and discussing. It is all about listening, grasping, and understanding what's your customer requirement. Because as I said, you are the bridge between the user and the supplier, right? You need to understand the requirement, convert that in the right articulated document, you say, or a discussion, and then you translate the same to the supplier and try to see how best these two can match, and keeping all the organization interest, the litigation part of it, the contractual part of it, risk management, and all those things. So yeah, absolutely. It's all about listening.
A little further step. Do you see the difference in negotiation style in different cultures? How do you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. So see, each I'll not say country, but if you see region wise, every region has their own style of doing it. So, and especially when you are supporting a global ecosystem, you often negotiate with supplier from across different cultures. For example, if you deal with an European vendor, they might expect a very structured documentation, right? While in US supplier, they prefer agility. So they don't go into, it's not that they don't have it, but they will not talk more about it. They will not get into a documentation at the time of negotiation or all those things. They will rather go on the agility part of it. They have to be flexible and they will talk straight on the number. So therefore, understanding these preferences of the or the nuances of the culture is very important, and so that you can mold the negotiation tactic discussion to and which means you can tailor your approach in leading the negotiation, and then you can build the strong supply relationship also. So yes, it does vary a lot.
Right. I think India and Asia has the strongest supply relationship thing, and
Yeah.
the securing of money that comes a lot. I had a few instances where the supplier was asking for advance payments or deposit even. So deposit is something that can only be found in India and Asia countries, and
Correct.
it's a very hard thing to make, let's say, US or a UK guy understand. Why do they need a deposit or something? Touch on AI. It's the latest thing, the hot topic. So,
Yeah.
what are your views on AI and how do you see it change procurement?
So a lot of hype in the market that with AI coming in, lot of job losses and all those things, which are in a way fact also partially. But the way I see is that we need to understand that AI is not a threat, right? As per me, it's basically an opportunity for an individual to upskill themselves for a better future. But if you're not aligned to this, because that's going to be the future, right? So if you're not aligned with this, and if you are doing a tactical job, if still you are doing a job which is replaceable by machine, which means very simple rule is if it is a repeatable and the same steps of process you are doing again and again, which means that AI can do, because or any such robot can do that. So only that piece of thing we are going to do it. My own philosophy is AI's intelligence is artificial, right?
Right.
While God has gifted us with the real intelligence. So we should be treating that AI is going to help us, right? We just need to use it right for the right purpose at the right time, right?
Right.
Now about the implementation, how we can connect. So AI implementation in procurement or maybe in supply chain, yeah, we can start with some quick wins like uh, AI-based supplier risk monitoring, catalog-based PR to PO creation, or maybe AI-enabled invoice matching. So all these things we can enable, which is again, as I said, set for the tactical job. For the strategic, still you need a human intervention, right? So in which situation, what to do, which suppliers. It's not always, it can't be an algorithm written result. Otherwise, every time the system will go for L1, but right.
Right.
But you know the complexity, you know the timeline, you know this despite of this vendor not being L1, this vendor has the capability that maybe in my difficult situation, or when in a lot of projects what happens that you plan something but you end up doing something else, right?
Right.
You see a lot of changes, and again I can't do that. So therefore you need
Right.
to learn the portion of your work which is and can be converted or taken by AI, and you should appreciate it, and you should be ready for the ready for more strategic, more quality jobs.
So when procurement came to my life, it was more of a savior than anything else. So
Okay.
we have benefited a lot from procurement as a career. Any fresher or anybody who is just starting his career listening to this podcast, what would you like to tell them in procurement as a career?
Sure. So, I'll say procurement. First of all, it is. Uh, first of all, people need to, or the people who are trying to get into it, they need to know the history of it, right? Then only they will be able to understand and relate. Because still, you will find a lot of organizations still about 10 to 15 years behind. Still, they are using this similar trend of doing things very tactical job, just cutting a PO, issuing up, getting a PR, cutting a purchase order. Somebody else is taking decision, basis their whims and fences, right? So what they need to understand is procurement has moved uh, 180 degree, right, from a tactical to a global or strategic technology-based function. It's a There's a great career in this, for, but only for those who enjoy problem solving, working with data, influencing outcome, and most importantly, being agile. Right? My advice would be that learn the business, be curious about market, and stay adaptable. Adaptable is the flexibility is the key here in procurement. As I said in the initial, if you are done something today and if you're trying to do the same thing maybe a year down the line, you will see a different challenge over there. So you'll have to be ready for the flexibility and agility.
Right. Right. And Alex just said that, as Nike says, just do it. So
Absolutely.
I don't have any question here on the chat. There is again a update from Alchemy Network that this live stream is recorded and will be available later as an episode in the Alchemy Live replays. I'll also edit it out and upload it in YouTube. Atif, I think we are on time. We discussed a lot of things. Always great to talk to you. Lots of knowledge there. Thank you so much. Is there anything before we end? Is there anything that you would like to say?
No, Sifruddin, as I said, it was thanks to you and Alchemy and Alex who made this possible. It was a great interacting with you. The whole intent was to share the knowledge which I and you got it in so many years, so that we can share our perspective. it becomes a refresher for us also, and for people who are listening, maybe for the freshers, or maybe people who would have got into a situation. A few of our advice and inputs can help them. So thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Atif, for doing this. It was great talking to you. Lots of good knowledge there. We talked a lot about risk mitigation, GCCs, TCOs, a lot of good concepts there. Thank you for sharing again. Thank you all for listening to this podcast and joining. Have a nice day then, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay. Same to you. Bye. Have a nice day.
If you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel.